EAFC is not a pro level game, and I'm gonna tell you why with evidence. I'm not just gonna give you an opinion. I'm gonna give you evidence of why this game is not competitive. All right, okay, before I go into showing you the evidence, I want to paint a picture for you, okay? I've been playing Marvel Rivals a lot and hero shooters all my life apart from FIFA, right? I've done more FIFA than shooters like Call of Duty and hero shooters like Overwatch and Marvel Rivals, and fighting games. I played fighting games as well. But I can understand that those games are a lot harder to play than this. This is easy. This game, in essence, is a very easy game to play. Like, you can learn this thing very good in about a year. I've played with competitive players now that they've been playing for like 2 years, and all of a sudden they're doing like tournaments and stuff. Now this is the picture I want to paint for you before I show you the evidence, which is clear as day. Let's say you work a full-time job, 8 hours a day, right? After your full-time job, you come home and you play a couple games of FIFA. Let's say you play 2 or 3 hours, which is still a lot if you have a full-time job, right? And you become good at the game, right? Let's say not FIFA, let's say Call of Duty. Let's say you become really good at Call of Duty, playing 2 to 3 hours a day after a full-time job. Do you think that playing 2 to 3 hours a day, let's say 4 or 5 every other day, like 2 to 3 hours every day, but let's say on some occasions you play 4 or 5 hours. Do you think that playing those amount of hours, you can take your skills and beat a top pro? And I'm talking about not a competitive Call of Duty player, like a pro that wins like very big. Let's say they won the most important tournament. You think you can beat that dude? More than likely not, okay? Especially in fighting games. If you think you can play a fighting game for 2 to 3 hours a day, and then you can go up against one of these dudes that is winning those Evo tournaments, you're crazy. You're never going to beat them because there's such a high ceiling for the level of the game, right? That does not exist in FIFA. And now I'm going to tell you, now I'm going to show you the evidence of how I came to this. Now, I'm old. You guys probably, some of y'all weren't even alive for this. Some of you probably were but didn't know about this. In around 2015, anyway, let me show you guys. Let me educate you. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is Wendell Lira. Now, he's an ex-professional football player, like an actual player. This dude right here, okay? Now, he would play football, and then he would go home and hop on FIFA. Like I said, 2 to 3 hours, on some days 4 to 5 hours, because you know they have a life, right? So like Diogo Jota, right? God rest his soul, rest in peace. He was very good at FIFA. He was actually like a competitive player in FIFA. He'd had a full-time job playing for Liverpool, had like a fiance, had, you know, the money to go at the parties and stuff, and he would still have some time to play FIFA, and he was still competitive. This man right here took it to another level. This dude was a professional football player, right? In 2012, I'll show you right here. The man was he was the top player in a local tournament in Brazil. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In November, all right, this is in Spanish. Let me put this in English. In 2015, he's the game's top Brazilian player. Let me say that again. He's the game's top Brazilian player. This is somebody that has a full-time job, and he's beating other people that play every day for like 8 hours, right? Now you can say, Zoe, but that's in Brazil. It's not like he was the best player in the world, right? This man wasn't the best player in the world. How can you talk about, he's not the best player in the world, right? No, he wasn't. But look at this. He was challenged by 2015 FIWC champion Abdulaziz Al-Sharawi, however you say it. So in essence, the best player in the world challenged this Brazilian dude, right? And the Brazilian beat him 6-1. You're talking about somebody that has a full-time job, right? Probably plays 2 to 3 hours a day, 4 or 5 if he's lucky. This man absolutely massacred the #1 player in the world. I can understand if maybe he beat him by penalties. I can understand that. But we're talking about a convincing win. So much so that the man retired. He retired from football at 27. There were some injuries involved as well, but he retired. And he became a gamer. I think right now, he's a pro player. Like it says right here. 2019, Wendell joined Sporting CP Esports, right? In 2021, Wendell was called up to the Brazilian national team and will play the FIFA E-Nations, blah, 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 blah. He is now a pro player, right? We're talking about some guy that played a couple hours a day. And you're telling me that this is a competitive game? This right here is a competitive game? That's like telling, like, let's say I practice football. After I come off work, I go and I play five-a-side, right? With my friends. We do that. We've been doing it for years. We go and we play five-a-side, right? Two hours. Let's say 2 or 3 hours. And then all of a sudden they say, hey, you know what? Argentina, like let's say Messi, DePaul, Julian Alvarez, Puti Romero, and Dibu Martinez, right? They're like, hey, you know what? We're gonna join that tournament, that five-a-side tournament. And we're in the same tournament and we beat them 6-1. Will that happen? Will that ever happen? Hell no. Hell no, that will never happen. No pro should be getting beat by somebody that plays this as a hobby. No pro. It should never happen. And that's why I put that's why I gave you the examples of Call of Duty and Street Fighter. You will never beat those guys. Never. Unless you train at the same level. You do not need to train this game at the same level if you live close to the server or if you have a very expensive team. Because everybody can do skill moves. Everybody can do the German cross. Everybody can do the offside trap. Player locking is a different story, but not a lot of people use it. But when I look at a pro game, like when I look at 2 pros play this game, I'm not impressed by anything. Like, I'm like, of course, some of the stuff they do is like, wow. Like, some of the goals come out, you're like, wow. But I'm not like saying like, oh, I can't do that. Like, I can do probably most of the things that they do or all of the things that they do. Maybe not at the level, but I can do a step over, right? I can do the offside. I can do a German cross. I can do that, right? When you look at some of the combos that people do in Street Fighter, I cannot do that. And the majority of people cannot do that. The way they combo break certain things, it's very hard to do. A step over in FIFA is basic. Yes, there's some people that are mechanically better at the game, but there's no skill gap in this game that merits a competitive environment. And that's just my opinion. I'd love to know what you guys think. But I just gave you the evidence of somebody that played it for fun and beat somebody that was the #1 player in the world. And I don't think that happens in any other game, any competitive game. It's been your boy Full Metal Zoe. In that video right there, I disagree with AA9 skills. And in that video right there, I tell you how you can get ready for FC 26. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.